Yes, thank you. Thank you for a very lucid presentation, Pravin. And your point about the one front, reinforced Park China front is very valid. And my question to you, particularly with Karakoram Highway and Gwadar Port improving logistics fantastically for the Pakistanis and Chinese, do you think India should make use of the Russian offer to mediate between India and China and affect our approach on various issues? Sorry, India should mediate between. No, India to make use of Lavrov's offer of Russian mediation to resolve India-China issues. No, he is not coming for mediation. Lavrov made an offer. There was some newspaper reports. I am not aware of that offer. I am not aware. And as far as what you are saying, see, the fight has changed. As I am saying, armies will not have the lead role. Once the air corridors are created, the army will move. That is why I am saying, and I have been saying this for the last few days, you should make the CDs of the Air Force. The CDs of the Army does not know the Air Force. The Army cannot be in the lead. You will have to cut the Army out. And this is the call that the political leadership opposition should take up to explain. You see, I can only explain to them that they are the people who have to tell the government that you will do this and the reason for it is this. These are the reasons. Answer us. The government is not ready to discuss this. So as far as the move is concerned, they are already sitting there today. What do they have to move? Another thing I will tell you. From 2022, perhaps you must have missed your attention. They have added more people. The Pakistanis have added more military officers in their military section in Beijing whose sole responsibility is to make sure that the spare parts, everything are provided. There is a regular supply because the next war when it happens will be of high intensity. War with speed, and it will be a decisive war. So we will have a problem as to where to get the supplies from. The issue that happened in Kargil was where we found Musharraf singing with the Chinese. We even had tapes of that and asked them to give us the supplies. And our bureaucrats were running around the world with dollars in their suitcases to get some supplies from somewhere. Uri Baya, the thing is self-reliance, which is a slogan, because it is a slogan, for that you need peace first. If you have peace, then you can do self-reliance because you have to put money in your research and it is a long-drawn process. What we used to do earlier is Make in India, you keep giving it different names. But nothing has changed on the ground, and its evidence is that the Air Force chief in his frustration has himself said openly at 2 places that self-reliance is fine but DRDO and they are unable to meet the deadlines. He has clearly said that I want airplanes. You bring them to me, so these will not be made. No, I like our Vamka. Our journalists keep writing in mainstream papers that it was made yesterday. Well, we have one more problem. Even before the work is done, we say that we will be the 4th largest, 3rd largest in the world. The Chinese do a deep search. They make a different type of model. They sit quietly. The world is watching. What have we done? So this is also one of our problems. Gerbir Pravin G. Gerbir speaking to questions related once of course taking up from their right through Operation Sindoor there was a defining silence from Russia more and less of course there was some little bit that they should be restrained and you know all that. But clearly it looked that there was a sort of a subterranean alignment with what China was saying and at least China pushing Russia to keep away and not to interfere either side or at least take a neutral position. What's your general kind of understanding of that? That's one. I came slightly late, so you might have covered these things. The other thing which I have written, others have written, and it's a question which is deeply in the minds of a lot of people. Today, as a regional leader India, we have got severe contradictions with Bangladesh. Severe contradictions with Sri Lanka. Nepal has drifted off to each other towards China. Pakistan, we know what the situation is, probably the only positive alignment, strangely, with Afghanistan. So from a regional power, you have a position where we are absolutely isolated in South Asia. Has there been ever so much where we have in terms of hardware a much greater hard power, but even in our days of soft power and Nehru's period we had far greater this thing. So is the isolation today one of the worst in our history today? What is your viewer? Yeah, so let me start with the first one. First of all, what is Russia? Russia is the largest land mass on Earth of a nation which has 11 time zones. 11 time zones. It is the only nation in the world which is self-sufficient in food and minerals. And therefore the Russians always had a dual foreign policy, one that looked west and the other that looked east. It was Foreign Minister Premick in 1999 when he initiated the concept of RIC, Russia, India, China. The whole idea was that our foreign policy is west, but we should have a counterweight to the Americans, because that was the unipolar world. So he said the three most popular countries should get together. That is where BRICS comes from. Now after this Ukraine war has started, they are very clear that their foreign policy has to be east now. That is why President Putin has come up with the concept of EEU. It is Eurasian Economic Union, expanded to Greater Eurasia. And as part of Greater Eurasia, Pakistan is a country. And as far as the Russians are concerned, as I said, their vision for this new world order is completely aligned with the Chinese, not standing with their differences as great as that. So the point is that the Russians are mulling over, they are watching all this. President Putin is extremely vicious, wise leader, extremely vicious. If I had to point out one man today in the world who is vicious, I would say Vladimir Putin. So what you are saying is not happening for nothing. Now they have gone to the Pakistanis with the offer that they have a mill of the Soviet Union times near Karachi, and they want to refurbish that with $2 billion of their own. So they have warmed up to the Pakistanis. We are isolated. Now your second question. You perhaps missed all that I was trying to explain, that we willingly when the world we were at the fringe of global geopolitics. When there was a time we were at the fringe of geopolitics because the global geopolitics was being played in the transatlantic region. What was happening at that time, we assumed that we are the boss of South Asia, or because we were the fringe, we were not at the in the center of the global geopolitics, and the world did both the big passes that we said we are the biggest, this is our backyard, the Indian Ocean region, South Asia is our property, so we are the kings here. But the world has changed. Now we have abandoned that position, and that strategic void has been filled up with the Chinese. And after Operation Sindoor, please keep seeing over the next 2 years, watch the news carefully and connect the dots. And this is precisely what will happen. That they are now building up Pakistan for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, a competitive military power, a military power which could show that it is a peer competitor of the Indian military in the 4-day Operation Sindoor. Second, the geography, and the third, the backing of China to them. They are building Pakistan as a strategic alternative to India in South Asia. You know, it may sound far-fetched to you, like when I said in 2019 it will be a one-front reinforced war. I am not saying that I am giving some vision to anybody. I am simply saying I am connecting the dots. If you objectively connect the dots, this is what the picture emerges. We are taking the last 3 questions, 1 from this and 2 from this. Yes, hello. You have mentioned between 2 governments. My first question is that when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of India, China had invested rupee lakh crores. Rupee lakh crores. Yes, Manmohan Singh's government. What do you mean by that? Question mark. Sorry, capital investment was made in India. Okay, fine. After that, during the tenure of our present Prime Minister, the total amount increased to 9 lakh rupees crores. That means Manmohan Singh opened the window. He opened the door. Now these are 2 situations, the previous Prime Minister and the current Prime Minister. Don't you think that the present and past governments are helpless in front of China? They are compelled, so they cannot do anything and cannot say anything against them. Number 1. Number 2, this nation China, the number of old people is increasing every year, and in our country India, the number of unemployed people is increasing by 3 crores every year. This is the highest in the world. So what do you want to say on this? Sit down. Look, today we do not have normal relations with China. But you should look at this. Our trade, China today is our second largest trading partner. The trade, annual trade, of starting from April 2024 to April 2025, stands at $13 billion. No, sorry, it's more than that. It's some $29 billion, with $13 that the Chinese are giving us. Exporting to, which is electronics, chemicals, for the pharmaceuticals. All this is coming to us. We are just giving them $14 or $15 billion. Iron owners are essentially giving. What I mean to say is that the trade deficit is of $99 billion. So the first thing we have to understand is that China today has become a world power, a manufacturing power. And if Trump can kneel down, then who are you? So I would request every Indian to get rid of this zero-sum game and start thinking that nobody is anybody's enemy. Pakistan is not our enemy. Neither is China. When the government changes, the enemy will change. We have national interest. We have to see where our interest lies. Is it with Pakistan or not? Is it with China or not? If China is such a big economic power today, then I was telling you that what do we have to look for, is a cooperation, a mutual cooperation in a win-win mode. This has to be seen. I forgot your second question. What was it? You had asked something else too. Well, yes, I will tell you a very amazing thing. You sit down, every year in India, in the world, 3 crore people do not have work, only we and the rest, the number of senior people is increasing. Look, I will tell you, a very good thing. Listen to an amazing thing. It was Deng Xiaoping, his leader started the reform. They started it in 1979. It was called the 4 modernizations. Along with that, they did one thing which was very important. They gave importance to education. Today, China's education system, from primary education to top education, is very good. It is the world's most competitive education system. Now when your education system is broken, tell me, where will you provide employment to people? When more than half of your manufacturing startups were there, I went to bore. I went for this Aero India show. I went to it, so I got a chance. In their new bore, they have built a city which has drones. You will be surprised to know that 99% of the drone companies I went to were showing me, sir, look at this, all the equipment is coming from China. Nothing is being made here. So what I mean to say is that, sir, first look at your education system. It does not happen that we declare that we have become the world guru. That is good, you become the world guru, but the fact of the matter is that the world knows exactly what you are doing. If you have a defective education system, your youth are not an asset, they will turn out to be a liability. That is the whole issue, and I am not giving any state secret. Everybody understands that. Sir, it was a very informative presentation. The first question is the new normal by the government, that Operation Sindoor is halted and not over. But is it true that today Pakistan is in a position to start the war anytime they choose? By sending some terrorists here and there, and we will be first? We will have to start a major war, and whether we are ready or not. So was it wise to talk about a suspension of Operation Sindoor? I think, just had another question, but just See, you know, my answer to that is very simple. That, first of all, the Pakistanis are not deterred, so, expect more of these attacks. They will come, and this time, Prime Minister Modi will not do anything, because he is understood. We have suffered losses. We know what the gaps are, so and both sides are preparing. My own assessment, that I have written also in one of the articles, is Pakistanis will get ready for war faster than us, because they have the back of China, and I expect in a year's time they will be ready for war. Which is why I keep saying that either you see the big picture, we don't want to end up in a disaster, etc. It will not help us, it will not help our country, it will push our economy by decades. So the point I am making is very simple, that for example 5th generation aircraft, just to give an example, now they are getting the J-35, they in fact their pilots already there doing the training, the convergence training, and of course the training with the digital ecosystem. We are still deciding. Jay Shankar was in Paris. He was talking to the Rafale, to the Dassault people. Should we have more Rafales? And there the Russians are offering us one of the offers that I am sure Levo has brought with him. Of the Sukhoi 357 that we will give you, the production of that we will give you? That is to say, in very short, we have to move around and collect things. They will get it on a platter. So my point is that 1 year, if we do not change our policy dramatically, there can be trouble. It is very much in the realm of possibility, and they are not deterred by us at all. This is my assessment. Last two questions, one from Sanjeev and one from that. First Sanjeev, then you, and I will conclude the session with you. Hello, I am Sanjeev Shukla. I have a very small question. I live in Mumbai. I have a lot of affection towards Mumbai. Pakistan had a hand in the terrorist attack of 26/11/2008. Did the government of that time not find it appropriate to retaliate? This was their biggest mistake. That is why the rest means Pakistan's morale increased a lot. And in this way India's strength increased in South Asia due to Operation Sindoor. This is what you believe. The third one is a small one, that we should not have come under the pressure of Donald Trump regarding the CH fire regarding Pak. What do you say? He says that the operation has just started here. Operation Sindoor is going on. So can Pak join India? Can this government take it? Look, you have two good questions, and I am happy you brought up those questions. There are some leaders from Congress too, I will not take names, who are saying that when 261 happened, these Mumbai attacks happened in 2008, then Prime Minister Modi should have retaliated. Now one thing of theirs is not understandable, that when Operation Parakram happened, it ended in 2001 and 2002 October. The wear and tear that happened on our stuff, It needed at least 10 years to come back to a war of words. Now who will explain this? So it was a decision because there was no other option. Unless you wanted to do something fake like the surgical strike done in 2016. So I think what Prime Minister Manmohan Singh did was a wise decision, but the only thing that was unwise after that was where Chidambaram, and at that time the Chief Minister of Jammu Kashmir, was saying that you should progressively remove ASP, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, from Jammu Kashmir. What was the reason for that? If you remove that, for 35 years we have ruined our Indian Army professionally. Instead of focusing on their primary job, which is to prepare for war, they do counter-terrorism operations. They are doing it even today. They get status in it, they get praises, movies are being made. But the question is that no one is thinking that Pakistan is not sitting quiet because Pakistan Sahab is not afraid. So the first thing is this. The second thing you said about Pak. See, creating a narrative and implementing it in reality is not the same thing. Just now I was telling this for so long that how much power that side has today. Even after that, if someone is thinking that we can take Pak, then my opinion will be that you should first save what you have. Last question please. Hello. Thank you Mr. Sawhney. Since you mentioned about Putin, you know in fact Mr. Henry Kissinger endorses Putin as someone who is a cold calculator of Russian national interest as he conceives it. So, since you mentioned that he is a vice guy, but there was another vice person by the name of Indira Gandhi, who envisioned India, not as a hegemon or a world power but as a different power. Since you mentioned that Russia, China and US, there are three poles of the current world order in the context of Indira Gandhi, you know India being a different power. Should India come as a fourth pole, or should India actually attain strategic maneuvers and attain as much advantage as possible and not to be a world power but to be a different power? So what's your take on that? Watch and incidentally Indira Gandhi checkmated Henry Kissinger with respect to 1971 war. First of all, these two issues are separate. Let me tell you about Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. I maintain an RK and argue very well she was the best Prime Minister on national security that India had. If you ever come to Noida, please come to my office. There is a big portrait of Mrs. Gandhi which is behind my desk. I have kept it. There was an artist and the artist wanted to make the portrait of Mrs. Gandhi like that doll she was called, and how she evolved. So there are 5 shadows of Mrs. Gandhi and I commissioned them to follow that and make it for us. And it inspires me, so that is about Mrs. Gandhi. Now as far as you are talking about Vladimir Putin, see, Russia is a great power. It was a superpower and it is Putin who from the ruins of the demise of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was not defeated on the battlefield. It disintegrated. From there he has made it a great power today. I think that's amazing. It calls for a lot of wisdom. And I have a lot of respect for him. As a leader of a party he has been a leader from 2000 till today and he has done some amazing work. I can explain you also if there is more time. Alright, so these are two different things altogether. So we conclude this session and I would like to thank Mr. Pravin Sawhney for